Hello students, I hope you all are fine and topics we have covered in the first two videos of the chapter are clear to you. Today we will start with the third part of the chapter number 3 of Statistics for Economics, that is census and sample method of collection of data. Look at this mind map. These are the different topics of the chapter. First is concept, suitability, merits and demerits of census method, already we have done. Then concept, suitability, merits and demerits of sample method, already we have done. Today we will start with the methods of sampling. These are the different methods of sampling: purposive sampling, random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, quota sampling and convenience sampling. So let's start with the chapter. So these are the different methods of sampling. First we will start with the random sampling. What is random sampling? In random sampling, any item of the universe can be selected in the sample. So each and every item of the universe has a fair chance or probability to be selected in the sample. There is not any chance of partiality or biasness of the investigator because selection of items is not under the control of the investigator. This method is very economical in terms of money and effort. This is very simple method. These are the different ways can be used in the selection of sample. First is lottery method. In this method, paper slips are made for each item of the universe. These slips are shuffled in the box and then after that some slips are drawn out of the box. In this way sample is made. Or tables of random numbers. These are also known as Tippy Tables. What are Tippy Tables? First, the items of the universe or population are arranged in numbers. Then, out of that numbers, few of the items are selected according to the tables. Like the figure here given is 10,400. So this figure number comprising of 4 units each, this is divisible by 4, or we can select any figure which can be divisible by 5. This is very widely used method of sampling. So first is lottery method, second is table of random numbers, that is known as Tippy table. First the items are arranged in figures or numbers, then out of that figures we can select any that can be divisible by any table, like here is given that is divisible by 4. Next is merits of this method, random sampling. First is free of personal bias because investigator is not selecting the items according to his wish. So there is not any chance of biasness or partiality. Second point, each and every item of the universe has a fair chance to be selected in the sample. Because we are using lottery method, we are using Tippy table method. So every item has a fair chance to be selected in the sample. Third is the universe get fairly represented. Each and every item of the universe is getting chance or probability to be selected in the sample. So universe or the population is properly represented. Fourth, this method is very simple. It can be followed by anyone. Now we will start with the demerits of the random sampling. This method is not following the proportionate representation of the different items, and sometimes there is a need to give the weightage to some items more, but this weightage is not given in the random sampling method. Next is, what is the difference between random sampling and haphazard sampling? What is haphazard sampling? Which is not organized or planned. That is unorganized and unplanned sampling. So random sampling is following some rules of sampling, like we are following lottery method, Tippy table method, but haphazard sampling is not following any rule or way. So this is haphazard sampling. Second point, in random sampling, each and every item of the universe has a fair chance to be selected in the sample, but in haphazard sampling, each and every item of the universe has not a fair chance or probability to be selected in the sample. Like if any investigator is selecting the items according to his wish, without any way, without any method, so that is haphazard sampling, where not any rule is followed. Next is random sampling and exit polls. So random sampling, we can follow this method also in the at the time of elections. Suppose on the day of election, people are going to cast the vote, and whensoever they are coming out of the polling booth, the investigator or the enumerator can ask the questions from the few of the voters about to whom they have casted their vote, and on the basis of information gathered from the few people or sample, the prediction can be made who has a fair chance of victory in the election, which contestant or which candidate can win the elections. Now next we will start with the second type of sampling, that is purposive or deliberate sampling. What is purposive sampling? In purposive sampling, investigator himself makes a choice of the sample items which in his opinion are the best representative of the universe or population. So in this method, investigator is selecting the items according to his convenience, which he thinks are the best representative of the population. For example, if the investigator has to make the investigation of the iron and steel industry in India, he is selecting Tata Iron and Steel Industry as a sample, so that he is selecting according to his convenience. That is known as purposive or deliberate sampling. What are the merits of this method? First, it is flexible. Any changes can be made of the items according to the wish of the investigator. Second point is selection of items can be deliberately tuned to the purpose of study. Means selections of items can be increased or decreased according to the purpose of study. Next is it is a very simple method. Demerits. Because the selection of items is dependent on the convenience of the investigator, so there is a chance of partiality. Second point, if there is a partiality or items are not selected properly without partiality, the result will be drawn cannot be reliable or dependable. So the result will be doubtful. Next is third, stratified or mixed sampling. In stratified sampling, population is divided into strata or classes according to their characteristics. Then some of the items are selected from each strata or class so that the entire population can be represented. This method is followed when all the items of the universe are not representing same characteristics or when items are not same. So this is example. For example, there are 50 students in plus 1, 30 students opted mathematics in class 10th and 20 students opted home science in class 10th. So these are representing different stratas. One, the students of mathematics, and other the students of home science. So there are two stratas. Out of these two stratas, the items can be selected in the proportion of their percentage. Like there are 30 students in mathematics, so we can select 3 students as a sample, and there are 20 students in home science, so 2 students can be selected in the sample. Or it can be unproportionate. We can select 3 students from home science and 2 students from mathematics. It is according to the wish of the investigator, so it can be selected proportionately or unproportionately. So there can be more than 2 stratas like mathematics, home science. We can select any other option. Okay. Next example, what are the merits of this method? First, this cover entire characteristics of the population, as there were two different categories of students, mathematics students and home science students. So these are representing the different characteristics of the population. So comparative study is easy because the diverse characteristics are selected, and comparative study is easy. This method is simple, and this method we can do comparison, so it offers reliable and meaningful result. We can be dependent on the result which are drawn from the information. Demerits. What are the demerits of this method? First, the items can be divided into strata when the investigator has complete knowledge of the diverse characteristics of the population. If the investigator don't have complete knowledge, then this method cannot be used. This example we have done of students, we can do in terms of caste or religion. Second is there is a possibility of biasness. Sometimes stratas or classes are divided, so these are divided on the basis of partiality. Third point, sometimes size of population is very small. So when the size of population is very small but that are representing diverse characteristics, these cannot be divided into different groups or stratas. This method is not suitable when the size of population is very small. Next is systematic sampling. In systematic sampling, the units of the population are arranged numerically, geographically, or alphabetically. Then items are selected from them. For example, if in at alphabetically A to Z, the students are there whose names are like from somebody's name is from A, somebody's name is from B. So how the units can be selected, like whose name start from the B, M and P. That student can be selected as a sample. Or other example is numbers. 1 to 100 roll number students are there. Out of that, the students who are the 10th item like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 and 100 can be selected as a sample. So in this way, there is not any chance of biasedness. What are the merits? This method is very simply and can be easily followed. Next is there is not any chance of partiality. Why there is not any chance of partiality? Because we are following the way alphabetically, numerically, geographically. So we are following the way. There is not any chance of partiality. Demerits. Every item in the population does not get equal chance. 10, 20, 30, 40 we are selecting, but other items are not getting chance to be selected in the sample. Second point, if all the items of the population are homogeneous means same, then this method can be used, otherwise this method cannot be used. Next is quota sampling. What is quota sampling? In this method, the population is divided into different groups or classes according to different characteristics of population. There can be religion based, there can be caste based, or other base we can pick. Some percentage of different groups in total population is fixed. Further, some quota of items is to be fixed, number of items from each group to frame a sample. For example, if one group is having percentage 40% of the population, other group is representing 30% of the population, and third group is representing 30% of the population. So the items or units can be selected in proportion to their population or percentage. As we said, like there are the caste groups, there are the religion groups, so the population units can be selected in proportion to their percentage of population. Next is convenience sampling. What is convenience sampling? In convenience sampling, the items are selected according to the convenience of the investigator. So this completely dependent on the wish of the investigator or enumerator. Whim means wishes or desires of the enumerator. Clear? So this method is very simple and not expensive, but there is a chance of biasedness or partiality. When the selection is not done properly, then the result we will draw from the information cannot be reliable. In convenience sampling, there is a maximum chance of partiality or biasness, so the results are doubtful. These look at this mind map. We have done different methods of sampling. First is random sampling, then we have done merits and demerits. After this we have done random sampling and haphazard sampling difference. Then after that we have done stratified and mixed sampling. After this, merits and demerits of this type of sampling, systematic sampling, quota sampling and convenience sampling. Students, I hope all the topics are clear to you. Thank you.